Yo, what is good, everybody? Man, it's been a long time, but I know I said I wasn't gonna make any more sports videos like this anymore, but you know, it's just at the time it was weird because I wanted no sports were going on because of this virus. Everything stopped. The NBA season was done, so I was like, I wasn't really in the mood to make any sports videos. But now that you guys know, my Lakers, they won the finals yesterday. Man, I was super excited. And I told myself when the NBA restarted, I was like, I thought about making more videos, but I wanted the Lakers. I was like, all right, I'll make a video. The Lakers win the championship, because I don't want to come back and get all excited for them to get knocked out in the first, second round or whatever. I was waiting. I waited patiently all through the pandemic. I was like, man, is this season ever gonna start? And it finally did, and I was excited because of course, the Lakers going in with a number one seed, and they were destined to win it. And it was funny because I'm always on Twitter. I'm always arguing with people like who's the best team. Was it the Bucks? Was it the Clippers? Was it the Lakers? And well, I guess this season it was the Lakers, even though certain things happen, and Lakers never met the Clippers. Lakers never met the Bucks or whatever. We never got to face each other, but it's luck of the draw, I guess. But I want to talk about this Laker run because I guess you can say it was historic. Not because like the record or anything like that. It's just because it was different. We'll probably never see another finals like this. We'll never see. Well, who knows? I mean, you never know, but we'll probably never see a bubble in a long time, and it was just crazy. Like this, I hate when people say, "Oh, this championship was an asterisk," it doesn't count, and they say it's a Mickey Mouse ring, but I really don't give a shit about that because I think for the better teams it was a disadvantage because the Lakers, they got the number one seed. And the number one seed, you get home court advantage throughout the playoffs. And with the bubble, everyone playing pretty much in the same court and no fans, it's like it really is no advantage for the higher seed. So the Lakers being number one seed, yeah, they got home court advantage, but it was for what? Everyone's playing in the same gym the whole series, so that's why I don't like the argument of it's a Mickey Mouse ring because everyone is in the same playing field. You don't have to travel to different arenas. You don't have to worry about getting just freaking yelled at by the opposing team's fans, and everyone was equal. The only difference was the seeding, but that really didn't matter in the year. It was just whoever got hot, whoever was the best team at the time, won the series. And so I think it was. I say it was one of the most challenging championship runs not championship runs, but playoff runs for any team because they had to go through a lot. They were out there away from their family for like 3 months, I think. They were in quarantine, but they were stuck in a hotel for 3 months. And even when I go on vacation, I guess I'm tired of the hotel after like a couple days. I can't imagine 3 months, especially you have to follow all these rules, all these guidelines because of coronavirus. You have to wear a mask constantly. You can't be around a lot of people, and they're at Disney World, but it's still pretty crazy. I think so. Yeah, it was pretty crazy, but everyone. I'm pretty much a lot of people on Twitter and on the media. They doubted the Lakers. I read everything. I read a lot of things saying that going to the bubble, losing Avery Bradley was a huge loss, and the Lakers couldn't move on without him, because I would say he was our best perimeter defender, and he played great in the regular season, and with him not going to the bubble, myself, I was like, damn, it was a huge loss, but now I think about it, it opened up more minutes for other guys. Morris got more playing time, Caruso got a lot more playing time, and when someone leaves, other guys have to step up, and those guys did. I always say that the great championship teams, they always need great role players, and the Lakers had that. They weren't the biggest names. They weren't. Not everyone is still in their primes. Like Dwight Howard is obviously not in his prime anymore. Rondo is not in his prime anymore, even though they still put up. Well, on paper, it doesn't look like great numbers, but the amount of the numbers they put up in the amount of minutes they get, you're great value. Like Rondo, throughout, was it 2 rounds he played because he was injured? He came back. I think against Denver or Houston, I'm not sure, but he came back Game 7. He played really well. He was the floor general when LeBron was on the bench, or even sometimes when LeBron was on the court. Sometimes when LeBron has the ball, everyone is focused to him. But when he doesn't have the ball and he's running screens or he's just running around the court, everyone's eyes are like, oh shit, where's LeBron going? But Rondo has the ball. His passing ability it just worked great, because now they have 2 guys to worry about, because Rondo and LeBron, of course, pass like the best of them, man. It was great. It worked out great. And look, we won the championship. And I like to say fuck the haters, because there was a lot. When Portland round 1, they say it was the easiest 8 seed ever, but hell no, man. Going in, everyone was like, oh, who's gonna guard Dame? Who's gonna guard McCollum? And all that BS. When at the time the Blazers were an insanely hot team, because they were, I think, the 10th seed going in, and they had to win. They had to win, like, they pretty much had to win every game to make the playoffs. And I think they lost like 1, but they actually got a playing game, so they tied with Memphis, and they won that game. So of course they had a lot of momentum. They were insanely hot, and at that time Lakers were trending down because they weren't playing well going into the playoffs. Everyone was still getting used to the bubble and all that stuff. While the Blazers were trending up, the Lakers were trending down. So everyone was like, oh, the Lakers, they found the worst time to struggle. And the Blazers, they just got hot. Damian Lillard was playing amazing. And, McCollum was doing his thing. Melo looked solid. And Whiteside was doing good. Nurkic was healthy. So we're like, all right, Lakers, they're going to have problems with Damian Lillard. And as a Laker fan, I was like, at first, after we lost Game 1, I was like, shit. I wasn't worried. So I know Lakers will come back stronger. It's because missing Avery Bradley, if you think about it, this league nowadays is dominated by guards. And when you have a defender that can defend guards, it's perfect. But we didn't have them, and I was like, damn. So first round, whatever, we win in 5. All right, cool. And everyone all of a sudden was like, oh, the easiest first round series. I was like, what? Like literally last week when when they took Game 1, I was like, oh, it's over for the Lakers. You're gonna get swept. You guys are gonna have trouble with Dame. And what happened? The next 4 games, Lakers won. And then the next series, I thought this was the most challenging series the Lakers played throughout the playoffs, is because the Lakers throughout the regular season, they were a huge team. They were big, they were long, they were tall, they just had a big height difference by all the teams. The Lakers were obviously the biggest team in the NBA, and the Rockets were obviously the smallest. So the Rockets are going to play their game. The Lakers, they had to completely change their game and how they play, because you don't want your big men out there when you have guards running all over the place in Houston. So that's why I think Frank Vogel deserves a lot of credit. The coaching staff deserves a lot of credit for this series and throughout the playoffs in general, and the season too, is because they pretty much had to get rid of everything what got us here. Dwight, JaVale, Davis, they were huge throughout the whole season. Our center depth, our rotation, that I think was the biggest part of this team, because they're physical, they're athletic, they can run the floor. They can't shoot except Davis, but they're good rim runners. They could dunk like crazy, and I think that was one of our greatest. That was our strengths. Their shot blocking and all that, and for them to completely get rid of him, I want to say JaVale and Dwight played like a couple minutes in the first game when they lost, and that was it. They didn't touch the floor again. Can you imagine how it feels to be JaVale? He was starter the whole season. He won the championship twice already with Golden State, and Dwight being him, he's a Hall of Famer, no doubt, and coming into the Lakers and freaking loving his role. He wasn't the star that he was back in Orlando. He had to take less minutes and just play his game. Come off the bench and give us some good minutes. That was it. He was probably one of the great role players out there, and he bought into it, and he did well. And against Houston, with their biggest guy, I want to say was like 6'8", and now it's I think Robert Covington. Well, they have Tyson Chandler, but he saw like 0 minutes. He wasn't. He was just there just give other guys rest. He wasn't a factor, but their biggest guy was 6'8", pretty much, and it was Covington. After game one, we struggled. Houston, they're going to shoot. You're probably not going to outshoot them unless you're probably the Warriors, which, of course, Houston always struggles against. But the Lakers were not going to outshoot them. And, it took them a while after game one. Russ did his thing. Harden did his thing. Covington played great defense. And after that, I was like, shit, here comes the small ball lineup. Everyone's like, oh, the Lakers have trouble with the small ball lineup. They're too big. They're too slow. We don't have Avery Bradley, who's going to guard Harden and Russ. And I was like, oh, relax, we got it. Vogel will do something. And what do you know? The next 4 games, the Lakers won. So again, you're like, oh, the Lakers won because the Houston doesn't have any centers. Are you kidding me, man? Like, the excuses kept coming. And whatever, we win that series with ease. All right, gentlemen sweep, we're winning 5. Next series, we play Denver, and of course Denver, one of the hottest teams, because they came back from a 3-1 deficit to the Clippers. And I'm a Lakers fan, and we hate the Clippers over here, but they have great players. They have 2 Sixth Man of the Year candidates. They got 2 MVP candidates in Kawhi and Paul George. They got great defensive, pretty much starting lineup or bench all over the place with Pat Bev, Paul George, Kawhi, Montrezl Harrell. They got all those guys. Even Marcus Morris later on, and they were built to win it. And I always said that the Clippers and Lakers, they built their rosters to match each other's. When I remember the Clippers got Joakim Noah to match up with the length of the Lakers. The Clippers were not as big as the Lakers. They're probably better shooters. They probably have better. I say better defense, but the numbers show the Lakers were a better defensive team. But they have better defensive players. That makes sense, But yeah, the Clippers, they choked. They lost. Blew a 3-1 lead in every game. Every closeout game, they're up by like more than 15 points. So they just blew it in the fourth quarter. So the Denver Nuggets, they came back from 2 3-1 deficits in the playoffs, and that was insane. I was like, everyone was calling them the comeback kids of Colorado, which I think that's a badass name, the comeback kids of Colorado. That's pretty sick. So I was like, I always knew beginning of the year, I liked Denver because they were young, but yet they were still good. They had a deep rotation. 1 through how many? 9 they had on the bench, whatever. They were good. So I was like, man, the Nuggets are a complete team. They got good guard play, Murray. They got good big men with Jokic. And I said the X factor would have been Michael Porter Jr. because he's that guy that if you forget to worry about him, he'll go off. Everyone wanted to guard Murray. Everyone wanted to get on Jokic because those were the stars. Those are the guys that took them to where they're at. But don't forget about Michael Porter Jr. because he's a baller. I knew it going in. I was like, you're going to have some trouble with Michael Porter Jr. because our guards would do their thing, our big men would do their thing. But the X factor was Michael Porter Jr. And in that series, I think the X factor was our big men. Again, like I said, they were huge in that series because they were not in it at all against Houston, and to come ready against Denver and pretty much, get their big minutes back. That's why I shout out to the big men, JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard. That they pretty much didn't play a whole series, and the next series was they were gonna need them. They stepped up, they were ready, they didn't miss a beat, and Dwight Howard did his thing against Jokic. He was physical, and it showed, man. Jokic, of course, he was a baller, man. He made some of the craziest shots I've ever seen. I don't know how he does it, but it was just the little things that Dwight did. He would bump him out, or he would box him out hard, or he'll foul him hard. You can see Jokic he'll get in his head. He got out of rhythm. And in that series, Jokic got in a lot of foul trouble early, so he couldn't really find his rhythm. I forgot. Well, pretty much every game he was in foul trouble, and he got taken out early in the second half. He got cold because sitting on the bench the whole time. You can't get hot. You can't get. And Dwight played really well in that series. And Jamal Murray, he played his ass off. And I salute Jamal Murray because holy shit, he played great. He played really good. I gotta give him my respects. And but like I said, Lakers were just better. Their defense, they had a suffocating defense. I think the whole playoffs turned around when Davis hit that shot in game 2. Because I remember that game, I was sweating, man. I was like, man, we got to win this game. 1-1 wouldn't have been bad, but 2-0, going up 2-0 just sounds a lot better, And after that, when Davis hit that shot, I was like, fuck, man. I was like, man. Because that game was a bad game for the Lakers. And for them to come out and win, because once LeBron had like a lot of turnovers. It was like 8 turnovers. Now, it was probably like double digits. And there was like no way LeBron has a game like that again. And for us to pull out a win, even when LeBron plays bad, it was huge for us. Davis hit that shot, and I was like, all right, we're good. 2-0. And then the rest is history. He won in 5. The gentleman swept him again. So now, the finals. And, everyone wanted the Bucks. Everyone said maybe Boston would have made the finals. But I always said at the beginning of the season, you guys call me crazy, but I always liked the Miami Heat. And I'll tell you why. Because I knew what they had. I didn't think Philly had enough. I think Toronto had enough, but I didn't think Siakam he's that guy yet. I don't think he could lead a team. Kyle Lowry maybe, but another guy like Kawhi, like last year, yeah. But I don't think Siakam was that guy. I think with Boston, I still think they're just too young. I think they're maybe probably 1 year away, or one piece away from making it to the finals. And the Bucks, I had the Bucks going to the finals. I don't know what the hell happened, to be honest. He has to develop a shot in order to be dominant. Because I don't want to get into that, but the Bucks. I picked the Bucks to win the finals, but the Heat, I didn't sleep in the Heat because I like Jimmy Butler. Before he was in Miami, I liked him in Chicago. I liked him in Minnesota. I liked him in Philly. I like the way he plays. The media, they try to cancel this dude. They're saying he was a hothead, he was a bad teammate. But nah, man, that's just sports. If you're fucking around in practice, you're not going hard, a leader or whoever who wants to win is going to call you out and be like, hey, man, let's go. I'm trying to win. Like what happened in Minnesota. They said he was a bad teammate. He was always yelling at people, yelling at staff. Well, obviously, he didn't like what was going on. He didn't like the direction they were going towards. And, he called him out. And he was traded to Philly, and the rest is history. I always liked Jimmy Butler because he stood his ground. He didn't change. He played his game. And the great Pat Riley made the best decision and signed him to the Miami Heat. And I think he was a perfect guy for that system and that team because, they had good pieces around him. They had Bam Adebayo was great in regular season. He was an all-star for the first time. He's really young. He's like, 22, 23. Jimmy Butler plugging into him and plugging into that system. A two-way player with great guys around him. He has a good bench. He's got good guards around him. And Dragic, another rookie, Kendrick Nunn. Tyler Hero is lights out at times. Freaking Duncan Robinson was great. So I knew, don't sleep on the Heat. Even though they were 5 seed, don't sleep on the Heat. And guess what happened? They made it to the finals. And going in, I was like, I just didn't see LeBron losing this final. Just overall matchups, it just didn't. Like, I always, like, it didn't. It was like there was no way the Lakers lose this. Even though we went in 6 games, but we should have won in 5. But like game 5, you know, it is unfortunate. But there was like no way LeBron uses this position wise depth. It was just no way. The Lakers were a deep team. And this is like one of the first series where the Lakers can play their game plan. The Nuggets was the first series where they can play their game plan. You know, they can play big and just dominating the boards. And so I wasn't worried, you know, because Butler would have been guarded by LeBron. LeBron would have been guarded by Butler. And okay, that pretty much, they don't cancel out, but you know, they'll go head to head. So I was like, who's gonna guard Davis? And you know, early on it showed. You know, they kept switching. They don't know who to put on Butler. Butler was too small. Jay Crowder was too small. They put Bam, and he was too slow. And he would get tired or he would get in foul trouble. But then if you put Bam on Davis, then who the hell's going to guard Dwight? You know, Dwight, he might have lost a step or two, but he's still strong. You know, he still gets the boards. He can still fly. You know, you can't have a mismatch with Dwight down there. You need a big man on him. And so it was mismatched all over the place. And the Miami, he got stuck. They didn't know what to do. So they made an adjustment. You know, they took out Davis' mid-range game early on, and he'd get in foul trouble. So but this is after the Lakers went up 2-0. We were cruising, man. Davis was on fire. Was it game 2? He missed like 2 shots maybe. He was insanely hot. So they made an adjustment. They actually won a game. So Lakers were up 2-1 now. And so after a loss, the Lakers always come back stronger, and they did. You know, they came back stronger. We had great guard play throughout the series. Underrated defense by Alex Caruso, of course. All you fans out there know, all you real fans know that Alex Caruso his defense is extremely underrated, and he deserves some recognition. Of course, Danny Green has lost a step too. Can't shoot for shit sometimes, but you know, he's a solid defender. He's a great rebounder, and he got a lot of blocks I saw, because he would always come up from behind and hit him from kind of like not the back of the head, but he'd block him from behind a lot of times. And he's big too, so like I said, he's a great rebounder. And everyone knows, you know, Markieff Morris, he played great. He shot the 3 well sometimes. And he's a big body too, a great rebounder, played great defense. And it worked out perfectly. And after going up 3-1, that game 5, we definitely should have won that game. You know, it was just unfortunate because, of course, the whole game was a great game going up to the last, pretty much the last play of the game, where Lakers had the ball. Danny Green misses a shot, rebounds out to Morris, and Morris tries to pass it inside of Davis, which, of course, pissed off a lot of Lakers fans. A lot of fans are mad at Danny Green and Morris. But, either way, because Danny Green missed a shot, came right back to Morris, and again, Danny Green was wide open from 3. But Morris was literally right in front of him, and he decided to pass it out of Davis. All right, I get it, but it was a shitty pass. But say he passes it, he literally hands it to Danny Green right behind him, and he makes that 3. No one forgets that first miss. The Lakers won the championship. That's why I wasn't mad or anything. I was mad, but I wasn't. As a real fan, I understood. Like, look, he had his Robert Horry moment, his fucking Steve Kerr, John Paxson moment, and he missed it. All right, so what? Let's go harder the next game. And then they did. They made an adjustment. They took Dwight Howard out, which I wasn't really a fan of, but then I understood why. They put Davis at the 5. Now, we got 3 guards and 2 forwards. They put Davis at the 5, then LeBron at the 4. So it opens up a lot. So now they wanted to play smaller, which I was surprised, because why play smaller when, you know, our guys were dominating the boards? Even though it didn't show on the in the box score, but you can see it. Bam Adebayo was getting beat down. Jay Crowder was getting beat down. You know, we were just playing physical. When you go smaller, you lose that advantage. So, but I understand now. You know, Caruso got to start. You know, from the G League to starting the NBA Finals, a crazy story. And the starting five played well. You know, Pope did his thing. Caruso plays great defense. Danny Green was out there standing around, but he was still contributing. Don't forget, LeBron and Davis did their thing, and Rondo, like I said, he played great in game 6. He played great. Guys off the bench, whether it was Morris or even when Dwight came in late, or who else? Kuzma, who of course gets freaking roasted a lot on Twitter, but you know, he did his thing. You know, he was out there doing whatever the hell he does, and made some shots. And say what you want, but he's got a fucking ring. All right, all his guys got rings, and I'm so happy. Dwight got his first ring. I'm so happy. Because he deserves it, man. You know, he was another guy where looked like he was gonna retire. And with DeMarcus Cousins getting injured early on, it opened up a spot for Dwight. And for Dwight, of course, it's the second time around. Lakers, the first time, didn't work out with Kobe. And he promised, he's like, whenever I have the chance to make it up to you, Laker fans, I'll do it. And with Kobe dying, you know, it was Dwight. He took it to another level. He played great the whole season. He came into the playoffs, and he was debating going to the bubble because he wasn't sure. I was like, come on, Dwight, let's do it. And he finally joined, and he played great. And I don't know if you saw his Instagram live. He was like, yeah, you know, it was very emotional for him because he came back to where it all started in Orlando, having to win a ring, his first and probably maybe his only ring. You know, I think he was a Hall of Famer before he won this ring because his overall numbers in general. But adding that ring to his resume, he was just no doubt. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And he deserves it, man. Him played great. Rondo getting his second ring. I think that for sure will get him into the Hall of Fame. So I think Rondo's a Hall of Famer. I mean, I think he was the first player ever to win a championship with the Lakers and Celtics, and he won the 17th championship for both the Lakers and the Celtics. I think that's pretty cool. And I've never seen Rondo in a fucking Lakers jersey winning a championship for the Lakers, and you know, he deserves his ring too. Everyone across the board deserves rings, even from the rookies that played like 2 minutes throughout the whole playoffs. But you know, old ass Jared Dudley finally got his. You know, all those guys deserve it, man. And Frank Vogel, his first ring too. Shout out to him. Everyone from Palinka, Jeannie Buss, whoever. Everyone deserves it, man. It was a great season. You know, I think this city really needed this championship. You know, after Kobe's gone, like that number 8 right there. After Kobe was gone, you know, it was very tough. The city needed it, and of course after the game, downtown LA right there in Staples Center, they went crazy, man. They went off, and you saw it on the news. Shit got down, and you know, very happy for Laker fans. You know, I already ordered my merch. It's being freaking delayed because I don't know. I checked on the website. It says like coronavirus, it'll be delayed, or just because everyone wants one. You know, I ordered 2 hats, ordered a shirt, and it's coming like late this month. Like, man, I had to wait like 2 weeks to get this. But yeah, so I got my merch. You know, I'm ready to rock it wherever I go, and you know, I'm excited for the future. Hopefully, Anthony Davis can stay with the Lakers. I mean, what else do you want, man? We got you a ring. You know, we got your ring, and we'll give you the money. Don't worry about that. We'll give you the money. So, you know, that's pretty much it. You know, it was great. It was a great day for me yesterday. I'm looking forward to, you know, hustle my Dodgers too. We're in great position to win another title, but we just got pulled off this time. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. You know, it's been a while. If you're still subscribed to me, like the video, share with your friends, and Go Dodgers and Lakers, man. I'll see y'all on the next one.